Hey, what's up everyone? Fluffy Armchair Admiral here with another video about Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. Before I begin today's video, I'd like to remind you to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done that already and use that bell to make sure you won't miss out on any content from me. I would also like to encourage you to join my Discord server, where you can interact with me and other Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts fans, share some of your crazy design, suggest a cool scenario, or just chill. You can find link in description down below this video. So, welcome back in another episode of Custom Battles Scenario Series, where I'm featuring scenarios that you made, dear viewers. It's all your hard work, hard creativity that you decided to put up into a vote on my Discord server and got voted as the top one. So yes, it's not me directly choosing the best scenario, it is you guys. So if you want to suggest something, hop on my Discord, which was mentioned before, post your scenario idea, it will be added to next vote, and make sure to cast your votes. Right, so without any further ado, let's not extend today's episode even more than we have to. Today's winning scenario is Payment or War, made by Pepper. In 1935, France, angry that Germany has stopped paying reparations despite the Great Depression in effect, issues an ultimatum to Germany. Send a payment of 1 million Reichsmarks or face war. The British, angry at the French for being so inconsiderate, decide to give Germany a way to fight back, giving them control of a fleet of 3 battleships, 2 battlecruisers, 5 heavy cruisers, and 6 light cruisers. The French never get the payment, so they declare war. They send a fleet of 2 battleships, 2 battlecruisers, 6 heavy cruisers, and 8 light cruisers. The Germans had upgraded the battleships given to them by Britain, which had 8 13-inch guns in 4 twin turrets. But those were upgraded to instead have 10 15-inch guns in 2 twin and 2 triple turrets, like Nevada style. They also upgraded the casemate guns from 14 5-inch casemates to 8 7-inch casemates and 6 6-inch casemates, as well as adding 2 triple 8-inch turrets per side for 12 8-inch guns in total. They also added 8 torpedoes per side and upped the torpedo protection by 1 level. The rest of the battleship's stats stayed the same, with everything balanced with a speed of 26 knots. The British were even nice enough to promise the Germans that if they destroy the French fleet, the British would declare war on the French, and after the defeat of the France, Germany would get Old Alsace, Lorraine back, plus everything on the French border of Luxembourg to the French border of Switzerland, and that Germany would be allowed to keep the ships that Britain gave them. Right. So, our today's task will be to design battleship, I presume, because that's the ships that were upgraded, so I believe if we would let that to be built by AI, it wouldn't be appropriate. So, let's switch to the game window. As you can see, I've already set up a battle lineup. So we are playing as German Empire against French Empire in 1935. On our side, there are 3 battleships, 2 battlecruisers, 5 heavy cruisers, 6 light cruisers against 2 battleships, 2 battlecruisers, 6 heavy cruisers, and 8 light cruisers. So, what we know from the scenario description is that we have to upgrade the old ships. So definitely we won't be using any newest super battleship design, because we are supposed to be upgrading things. So I assume that we received some sort of a Dreadnought 6, perhaps. And we will try to build this ship so that it has enough stuff on it. So, originally this ship had 14 5-inch casemates, so we need a casemate guns. That's 3, 7. Okay, so we need this length of a hull. It was able to reach 26 knots, so that's what we are going to leave it at. Okay, 26 knots. Right, so upgrade included 14 5-inch to 7-inch case. Okay. Okay, 8 7-inch, which means let's say okay, 8 7-inch casemates. So I would upgrade 1, 2, 3, 4 as a 7-inch, and the rest would be 6-inch. There we go. That's how we are going to put those casemates. Right, they also added 8 torpedoes per side. Are you kidding me now? Right. Let me just quickly put some sort of a tower, so we can perhaps build this ship. Right, that's how I'm going to set it up. That's where my torpedoes will go, perhaps. So we need 8. Right, let me just turn the torpedo tubes. There we go. And those torpedo tubes. There we go. Right, so we will have torpedo tubes amidships. The difficulty in here will be to add those 8-inch secondaries. It might be a bit too much for that ship. If that's the case, we will drop them, because, well, there's no way I can put more on this ship than it can actually handle. Anyway, we will try to do that. So 2 triple 8-inch turrets per side. Secondary 8-inch. Yeah, these are quite big. I could technically put them here, but the problem will be with torpedo tubes. Wait, if I would... If I would put those here and put those perhaps here. How does that look? That looks really bad. Okay, I managed to balance that out. But that doesn't... I hope that they will actually work. Those are very, very big guns. Definitely I will need a tall funnel here. Perhaps... Is that the way we are going to install it? Yeah, let's leave it like that. It looks classy. And perhaps tall funnel somewhere here. Maybe one. Advanced funnel. I would like this funnel to be more or less same height. Same height. Medium funnel, perhaps? Well, medium one seems like a good idea, but... Oh, there we go. Well, tall funnel 1 is a bit too tall. This one is too... Okay, large funnel. Okay, that looks pretty neat. I'll leave it like that. Okay, so we need to fit 2 quad torpedo tubes on that ship. That will be indeed a bit problematic. Definitely I don't want them, or do I want them here? Well, I could put them there, which will actually look interesting. There we go. Oh dear, this thing will be heavy. And I could technically put a torpedo tubes somewhere here. Oh, there we go. That's the spot. And yeah, obviously they don't really want to fit. Okay. Okay, so we got secondary armament. Now, for the primary armament, it wanted what it wanted. It was 10 15-inch guns in 2 twins and 2 triples. Right, so center line 15 triples, and triples will go on those. Okay, that is indeed a problem. So this one doesn't want to fit. Can it fit on this one though? That one seems to be bigger. So I might drop this tower at the expense of this tower, and perhaps I could then... Oh, I don't want side guns. I want centerline guns, 15-inch. Please tell me you can fit. Oh, you don't. You don't. Right. So, what we are going to do is install a different secondary tower. We'll install this one, go for a barbette, and that needs to be standard superimposed. Centerline guns, 15-inch guns. Oh, come on, you. Why do I always keep clicking on side guns? There we go. Okay, we got this. We got this. And now, double gun. So, this one will be here. And the ship became very heavy towards the front. Oh no, towards the back. Right. Can I push this forwards? Okay, that's as far as I can go. How far I can go with those? Not too far. So what else I can do to compress it? Because I definitely want to compress it. Okay. That's way too far. So if I will push you here. And perhaps push you here. There we go. There we go. Everything seems to fit. Right, I still need to put something on the middle spot. This one seems to be working. Right, so we will put tall funnel and large funnel on the front superstructure. Right, so that part of our ship seems to be perfectly fine. What else do we have? 12 8-inch. Yeah. They also added 8 torpedoes per side and upped the torpedo protection by 1 level. Right, the question is, what was the torpedo protection initially? I don't have initial stats for that ship. I don't even have the year that those British ships were supposed to be built on. So that is a little bit of a problem, because I haven't declared any initial build. So I will go with shaft 2, perhaps auxiliary. Let's go with turbo electric drive. Induced boilers, perhaps. How's our engine efficiency? Oh, that needs to be forced boilers. There we go. Geared turbines 2. That's what we are going to use. We do have slight offset towards front, but we can sort it out. I will go with heavy barbette 3, anti-float 2, and citadel. Well, providing that those ships were received from British, we will go with that's gonna be all or nothing citadel instead of turtleback. That would be typical for Germans. Right, bulkheads. They will be just reinforced 2, perhaps. Okay. As for propellant, I will go with tube powder to reduce the risk of explosions. On top of that, I'm using German guns, so it would make actually some sense. Right, rangefinder. Rangefinder could have been improved. It's not on the list, but I assume that they had some good rangefinders. Acoustic, sonar 2 should do the job. Radio direction finder, and why not? Let's put up the radar, even though I'm not sure if there was any radar, because again Pepper forgot to put previous ship configuration. So if that's not the case, we will use whatever we can. So anything that's not mentioned will be mentioned, will be sorted by me. So I will use my creativity. I will use 23-inch torpedoes with... that's the question. I will use electric torpedoes. Why is that? They will be slow, but I'm hoping that they will be accurate. And perhaps that will turn the tide of this battle towards my favor. I will also use heavy shells, just in case enemy will have heavy armor. When it comes to anti-torp, I assume that they had double torpedo bulkheads. So I will use torpedo protection 3 to make it more balanced. Worst case scenario, I will be hit by super heavy torpedoes and I will sink like a rock, which can happen. To improve my floatability a little bit, I will use double hull bottom, because that was the thing back in the days. Right. Standard ammo torpedoes, fantastic. Hydraulic turrets, yeah, we can leave that. So now to the armor part. We still got a little bit of a tonnage left. I got standard bulkheads and everything is balanced. Yeah, okay. So if everything else is balanced, I can't touch the range or bulkheads. So I can't crank them up to the top, which might be problematic. Those ships might not be exactly the best ships that were ever built. They have some strong armament though, at least here and there, especially in terms of 8-inch guns. They can actually do some damage. Torpedoes will definitely be a game changer when they fire. And finally, casemates, they can actually fight against destroyers. The lack of any sort of very small guns makes it a little bit difficult at times, because I would really like to have a couple of 4-inch guns that can fire really quick. But that's not that much of a problem. Right, let me just adjust some armor values and then we can try to balance this ship up. So I would like to have a little bit more belt armor, perhaps 14-inch. Or maybe 15, 16. Let's go for 16-inch belt. Extended, let's set it at 8-inch at least, with deck of 6 and extended 3. That should be okay. Turret armor, I want it to be higher, at least 20-inch, which will make turret fronts heavy enough to survive some shots. Perhaps we won't see that much of a turret detonation and stuff, especially that we are using quite good propellant as well. Turret top can be at 5. Secondary 6-inch, that's very thick armor. Conning tower. Conning tower can also receive about 20-inch. It's just commander's hatch. Hopefully when it gets hit, it won't get destroyed. And we still got plenty of displacement left. And there is absolute ton of armor that I can still put. So I'm going to invest in belt armor. Let's go with 20-inch belts. Let's go with belt extended of 13-inch. Why not? We got plenty of space. Deck armor. This is one heavy armor, so let's increase it to 9-inch. That's a very heavy thing. And deck extended. Oh, that cranked up the weight really fast. Okay, and finally, last bits. Oh, secondaries might be too heavy. turret top, perhaps? No, that might be too heavy. Belt extended is also killing my my displacement. What about belt? No, any armor change will eventually kill my displacement. Right. So this is going to be my warrior for this battle. Let me just take a nice screenshot. So we will have them for our thumbnail of this video if it gets released. Obviously, it will. I can guarantee you it will. Right. So that's our ship. Hopefully, it will help us win. Forward offset 1.5. Okay, so I could perhaps push this turret a little bit. Okay, a little bit further. It's not as close as it used to be, but now it's much more balanced. Okay, let's get going. Let's not lose any more time. We've spent enough time designing this battleship, and hopefully I haven't failed on anything. So we got all the armament in place. We got 26 knots of speed, and now it's time to kick ass of French Navy. Okay, so we don't have that much time. I want these battle cruisers under AI control. Heavy cruisers, let's go under AI control. I don't want you guys to get in my way. And it's only gonna be my battleships that I will take command of. Right. Cool. Okay, light cruisers collided with heavy cruisers right at the very beginning. I do not like that. Right, I will detach my battleships from division. I want them to be separate. Oh, stop. My goodness me. Right, that's what happens when you give control over to AI. Right, I will steer my my fleet to actually attack the enemy. I don't want to retreat. I want to be aggressive in this battle. Let's set the speed at ×3. Right. Perhaps double speed will be much more appropriate. Oh, Admiral Shear has took first damage, and it resulted in a massive explosion. This is very bad. This is very bad. It is one of the most modern warships that we got, heavy cruiser. That's, well, that looks pretty similar to heavy battleship. What's the armament? 9-inch guns. It has some torpedoes. It has some secondaries. Perfect to deal with light cruisers or any other lighter ships. Right. Schließen is effectively attacking something. I'm not sure what we are attacking. Let's see at the enemy ships. Right, so enemy has some fast battleships from what I can see. Okay, we keep shelling them, but without any serious effect. Yeah, every single of our shots is missing for now. Very unfortunate thing to get Admiral Shear heavily damaged at so early part of the game, and not to mention that it lost one of its front turrets, which is a little bit of a problem. Anyway, I will order Schließen, Bayern, and Kronpritz to actually rush into enemy positions. And I'm hoping that my battle cruisers and battleships will eventually, well, and battleships and heavy cruisers and light cruisers will follow my formation. Enemy seems to be... Oh, enemy is actually heading towards me, which is very, very good. That's very beneficial, in fact, because that reduced range will eventually help me score some nice hits. Right. Right, we are scoring some ricochet. Not much damage done by my warships, which is a bit of a problem. Okay, enemy ships have collided. Right, speaking of torpedoes, what's the torpedo range of my ships? 13 kilometers. Right, so I need to get really close to actually start using my torpedo armament. But from what I can see, every single of my ships have some sort of torpedoes. So that is a good information. That is a very, very good information for me. Because that makes my fleet much more dangerous than they actually are. Right, Frankfurt got under fire. Ooh, we scored a penetrating hit on enemy battleship. My goodness me, those were serious hits. Okay, partial penetrations. We took half of enemy's health. Another partial penetrations. Okay. We keep bouncing off enemy's armor. Oh, massive penetration at enemy's front part of the ship. Second penetration amidships. Just where the citadel should be. And I think that's enemy battlecruiser that is going to slip underneath the water surface really soon if it keeps taking so much fire. Definitely that flooding is helping us a lot, and the fact that we damaged the engine of that ship is going to prove very crucial. Right, Schlesien is still aiming at this poor fella. I'm not sure what's the name of that ship, because we still failed to identify it. Oh, another penetrating hit right next to our turret A. And it caused fire that started to spread rapidly. Oh dear. Oh, more fires amidships this time. Fire at the bow of enemy ship has been taken care of, but further penetrations started fire at the stern part of enemy ship, and yet more penetrating hits with more fires started near the front turrets. So this enemy ship is in real bad trouble. Oh my goodness me. Now it angles out, and it seems like it's helping. More fires. Oh my goodness me. It looks like those tube... Oh, it looks like tube powder seems to be very, very effective against those French battleships. More penetrations. Okay, Alsace class is slipping beneath the waves, and it becomes the first victim of this war. Right, that was a great effort. Okay, so we are still rushing. We managed to identify another enemy battlecruiser, which is Neptune, and that's going to be our target, at least for Schlesien. Bayern, yeah, focus fire on enemy battlecruiser. We will focus on deleting ships that will pose a serious threat to my cruisers. We still haven't engaged with Demokratie, but my cruisers started to attack enemy battleship Terrible, and they are shelling enemy light cruiser Duquesne, or whatever that is. I'm terrible at French accents, so I do apologize if I butcher some of the words. Right, we keep scoring some shots on Neptune. Definitely, yeah, We managed to score some shots that caused fire amidships, which is very good. My battleships are currently rushing into those two poor battle cruisers. There are some light cruisers defending Neptune, but all my fire is focused on the heaviest ship in that small formation. In the meantime, my battle cruisers engage with enemy battleships. The question is, what is the plan of AI? Because that ruthless attack has to come at some risk. So far, Grosser Kurfürst seems to be well enough defended and armored to survive any sort of beating from enemy. But enemy salvo is on the way, and it all bounced or missed. Wow, my fleet seems to be very, very effective in this battle. Right, enemy battlecruiser Neptune just took a massive blow from my battleships. Oh my goodness me. Stern of this ship is in real trouble, is on fire. Oh, enemy light cruiser to Kesen sinks from heavy flooding. Oh my goodness me, Grosser Kurfürst sinks due to structural damage. I believe that it might have been enemy battleship that has finally scored a hit. Oh, a lonely heavy cruiser, Admiral managed to flank Neptune. Is that flanking going to be a good enough idea to take care of her? Admiral launched torpedoes, so this flank is being taken care of. Right, let's see what's going on with my battle cruisers. One of them has sunk, which is very unfortunate. I'm not sure what was exact cause of this. It might have been a very critical damage. I didn't really pay attention to the logs, but it popped out really close to enemy light cruiser sinking. Right, penetration damage, flooding. Oh my goodness me. Geben is in real trouble. It fires at terrible and basically bounces all of the shots. Those 15-inch guns on Geben are definitely not enough to penetrate terrible. It will definitely be a formidable enemy even for my battleships. Oh my goodness me, Geben just took a massive blow from Demokratie. And yeah, oh my goodness me, and it sinks due to structural damage. So I believe she shared the same fate as Grosser Kurfürst. Penetrating shots from enemy battleship caused flash fire on board of that ship and unfortunately ended its life. Right, Neptune is taking a heavy beating from Schlesien, Kronprinz and Bayern. Unfortunately, those ships need to turn right now, so it will reduce their accuracy a little bit. But I don't want to sail right into middle of enemy formation. Besides, by that time, some torpedoes could have been fired, and I really want to avoid them. Right, my light cruisers are performing some torpedo attack against Demokratie. Perhaps we will see some hits. Let's see. York needs to lead its formation more towards enemy. I really don't want this to be too far away from enemy battleships. Okay, we sank another enemy light cruiser, which is good. Belliquez is also in pretty critical condition, so that might be another enemy light cruiser that will slip beneath the waves. Definitely enemy has lost more ships, but they've started this battle with numerous advantage, so it really doesn't turn the tide towards our victory just yet. We've lost 2 battle cruisers, which is a significant loss. or loss. Right. Light cruiser just got hit by enemy salvo. Let's see. How does that look? There were some engine damages reported. There we go. Geyer took some hits and her engines are damaged. In the meantime, some torpedoes are about to hit Democracy. I think one of them has a huge chance to actually make contact. Meanwhile, Seidler and Condor are dangerously close to each other. Oh my goodness me, Seidler just took a massive blow from Democracy, and yes, she's slipping beneath the waves. On top of that, Democracy launched a torpedo attack against Condor, who is... oh my goodness me, she is going to take that torpedo. Is she? Yeah, she's never gonna make it to turn on time. So that's gonna be another victim of enemy. Yeah, that was easy to predict. Right. York has fired her torpedoes against, I don't know what, I think it was Democracy, who now suffers from multiple engine damages due to torpedo hit and flooding in the midsection, which is perfect. It is absolutely perfect. Okay, enemy battlecruiser Neptune has finally slipped beneath the waves, so my battleships succeeded in defeating enemy battlecruisers. So now it's time to focus fire. Oh, and some enemy light cruiser took... oh, 2 enemy cruisers died from torpedo hits, is it? I think those were torpedoes that struck those 2 enemy light cruisers, which basically turns the tide towards us. That's really good information. Right. Kronprinz and Bayern needs to focus fire on enemy battleships. Schließen fired torpedoes against, I think, enemy battleship as well. Yes, against Terrible. So Terrible is now a main target for my fleet. Oh my goodness me, York is taking heavy beating. She doesn't really have anywhere to run, but that flanking operation by my heavy cruiser squadron might definitely turn the tide of this battle towards my favor. While my battleships are catching up from the other side, enemy is aiming in the wrong direction. The problem is that, yeah, my heavy cruisers are dangerously close to enemy battleships. Prince Heinrich has fired a torpedoes against Terrible. Hertha has fired a torpedoes against Terrible, and Vineta is still waiting with her torpedoes. York decided to begin retreat, which is very good. Okay, we keep scoring more and more hits. My battleships, unfortunately, are not able to catch up with enemy battleships. Okay, the question is Prince Heinrich going to launch a torpedoes? Yes, she did. She fired torpedoes against Terrible, and hopefully those 2 will be enough to put her down. They definitely are going to hit. Let's see at this part. Oh no, in retaliation Terrible launched her own torpedoes against Prince Heinrich. That is really bad. Okay, are these torpedoes going to hit? York is taking heavy beating from enemy battleship. Oh no, and Heinrich decided to take a wrong turn, and she's gonna take torpedo from Terrible and some torpedoes from Schließen, because that's where she is finding herself. Or is she... yeah, she avoided that. Okay, Herta is now in great danger of taking those torpedoes, but she will most likely going to avoid those. Let's order her to fire torpedoes against Demokratie. Oh my goodness me, Vignetta almost catch torpedoes from Schleissen, but she managed to eventually avoid them. York is gonna take 2 torpedoes, unfortunately, from Terrible. Are Vignetta's torpedoes going to hit? York is surviving. No, York decided to slip beneath the waves. Well, it was a great fight from her. Another 2 torpedoes successfully launched at Demokratie, and they look like they are going to hit at least one of them. Are they? Yeah, I think both of them will hit. 1 and 2 torpedoes. Great, Demokratie is flooding. Herta, yeah, she fired torpedo against Terrible. No, she fired torpedo against Demokratie. Terrible is sinking. Wow. I will hand controls of my heavy cruisers to AI. It should definitely be able to sort it out. Some losses will be taken, but from what I can see, enemy fleet is now in a very terrible situation. Admiral Scheer is shelling enemy light cruisers from the north. Is it? No, from the east. My heavy cruisers decided to perform a ruthless attack against enemy battleships, and they succeeded massively. Right, I will order Bayern, Schleissen and Kronprinz to focus fire against Demokratie, which is the only real threat in enemy's lineup at the moment. Wow, that was quick. That was really quick to get huge advantage over the enemy. Demokratie suffers from multiple engine damages. Several compartments are flooded, and she is now on fire. It's really dark day on French naval's history, I guess. And we can see Terrible slipping beneath the waves, and Herta managed to survive another salvo from Demokratie. After that brave attack from heavy cruisers, they are now dominating the mid part of the battlefield. Demokratie is angling away from my battleships, hence why I'm struggling to actually score a penetrating hit. Right, so with that said, I will focus fire of Bayern on enemy heavy cruiser Foch, and Kronprinz fire will be focused on enemy cruiser Furiax. Surprisingly, none of enemy heavy cruisers are equipped with torpedoes, which was interesting design choice. Even enemy's light cruisers doesn't have any torpedoes. Perhaps that is a very crucial element of this lineup. If enemy would have had torpedoes, that would be a great deterrent for my fleet to not come any close. Unfortunately, that was not the case. Let's see, my torpedoes seems to have missed enemy heavy cruiser, unfortunately. Furiax took a massive hit from who? I can't remember who was. From Kronprinz, and she suffers from what seems to be a flash fire and multiple fires across the board. Yeah, she won't survive any longer. She took another hit. Oh my goodness me, my fleet was absolutely overpowered. Right, Demokratie is still alive. Vignetta is doing some hit and run strategy attacks against her, but her main guns are unable to deal massive damage. Schleissen is part of that chase, but she definitely can't keep up with Demokratie, who seems to be much faster at this moment. She's doing 14 knots, which is surprising, but the distance advantage is big. Schleissen needs to turn as well, because Hertha gets in our way. But that actually has some benefits into it, because now I will be able to bring all the guns to bear and perhaps improve my firepower. Right, my light cruisers seems to be keeping themselves really far away from the battle. I will push harder on the enemy. Demokratie is taking more and more hits. Her structure points are down to 43% and floatability down to just 10. So one more flooding and she is going to be done for. I keep scoring some heavy hits on her, because even my secondaries should be able to penetrate through the armor, providing that I got armor piercing bullets, because the propellant that I use is giving me those kind of effects. Right, some more torpedoes have been fired by Hertha against enemy Demokratik, but yeah, she won't survive long enough, I believe. Okay, enemy heavy cruiser Foch is retreating. Furiex is still alive for some reason, but I believe not for long. Where is Admiral Scheer? Is now north. No. Yeah, Admiral Scheer is now north of remaining enemy battleship, who is still fighting. Right now some torpedoes have been spotted heading towards Hertha. So there is some retaliation from enemy battleship. She is still at 10% floatability, but not for long. Schleissen needs to turn in. Oh, Furiex is sinking due to heavy flooding, so Bayern can switch fire. Is it? No, it's Kronprinz can actually attack enemy light cruiser. Right, finishing off enemy fleet will be the hardest task, because everything is split. Wiesbaden is going to take a torpedo. Ouch, that was a really heavy hit. I'm not going to lie, enemy has some really nasty torpedoes. Wiesbaden is sinking as expected, but enemy light cruiser and enemy battleship Demokratie has slipped beneath the waves. Right, what a loss. Schleissen is going to take a torpedo hit. Oh my goodness me, that was a heavy hit. In fact, it really took a lot of damage, but I don't think it's enough to take her down, and the biggest danger in enemy's lineup is now being eliminated. Right, that is fantastic news. I will order Frankfurt and Geier to actually attack remaining enemy cruisers. What are my battleships doing? Yeah, Kronprinz and Bayern can in fact change their course towards remaining enemy light cruisers and heavy cruisers, while at the same time finishing those two heavy cruisers that were escorting enemy battleships. Multiple torpedoes are heading towards them, which is not a big deal. Oh my goodness me. Yeah, Admiral Charner is taking a lot of beating from multiple directions. She won't last long. More. Oh, enemy light cruiser just took a massive hit. Probably that was a torpedo. Can't say what's that, but my light cruisers definitely scored some kills. Admiral Charner just took a massive beating. Her engines are down, and we are just finishing her off. Right, my battleships are getting dangerously close to enemy cruisers. However, those don't have any torpedoes, which is definitely moving the toll of this battle towards my benefit. Mostly because enemy can't effectively fight back. Enemy heavy cruisers have only 8-inch guns, which won't be able to penetrate through 20-inch belt armor that I have. Oh, a massive hit on Admiral Charner, causing flooding. That is most likely her end. 10% floatability, 653 to 0.1, and she is slipping beneath the waves. So Schleissen can now switch fire. Enemy remains alive with only 4 of their cruisers. 3 heavy cruisers and 1 light cruiser. So it won't last long. We should be able to finish them off really quick. Okay, Jemapes just took a massive blow from my battleships. She is still going to avoid those torpedoes, unfortunately, because they won't be able to chase her down. And she definitely sees them, providing that she is maneuvering. But that won't help her much, because she is now flooded, and she is slowly taking on water, and that's her end. Right, so we got 3 enemy cruisers left: Tonmant, Sfax and Refugee, and all of them are heavily damaged, maybe except Tonmant, but that will change really quick. Sfax just took a massive blow, which caused flooding, and she is now sinking. There we go, down to 2. Okay, ranging salvo against Tonmant, and immediately it goes overpen with fire. So right away from the get-go she is taking heavy beating. More penetrating shots, probably coming from secondary guns, and Crown Prince scored another overpen hit. Yeah, again some flooding has been started. Fires, that is really bad for Tonmant. Refugee in the meantime is taking light fire, at least for now. Okay, Bayern and Crown Prince are constantly advancing. Okay, oh, and a massive hit against Tonmant with fire and flooding in place. She is definitely having a hard time right now, and she's getting dangerously close to Bayern and Crown Prince, who will have very easy time aiming at her. Yeah, and that was a direct hit. Tonmant is now down to half of her hit points, and she is taking on water. Wow, it is getting really bad for her. Surprisingly, Refugee is taking only light fire. Let's watch this battle. Beautiful, beautiful. Wow, that looks amazing. Okay, enough of watching beautiful sights. In the meantime, while I was messing with the camera. Tonmant has sunk, unfortunately. Oh! We took a torpedo hit from our cruiser. That cheeky bastards decided to attack my own battleship. Oh my goodness me. Oh my goodness me. Thankfully, those torpedoes were not as large as the ones that I got on my battleships. Otherwise, it would be really, really bad. Anyway, Refugee is about to get blown away by direct hits from 15-inch guns and some torpedoes. Yes, I believe that at least one of them has a huge chance to hit. Yes, it will hit. And there we go. 787 flooding rudder damage, and further torpedoes are on the way. Yeah, Refugee is not going to survive, and that's, ladies and gentlemen, is a nice and beautiful victory. So that was Payment or War made by Pepper. It was really interesting battle. Unfortunately, AI decided to design ships that were very easy to defeat. I was actually hoping, especially by designing a lighter battleships, or rather older design battleships, that French Empire will come up with something that will be really heavy to be defeated. Perhaps some split between build times or technology levels of my ships and enemy ships would be a bit of a balancing factor in here. But again, the game seems to have different technologies for different nations. It's not as heavy as it would be, or as it might be reasonable. We'll see. The game is still in alpha 7.6, so many things will keep changing. Anyway, that's it for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. If you want to get informed about my new content, hit that notification bell button and don't forget to share your comments down below. Finally, jump in on my Discord and post your scenario proposals. Or if you don't have any ideas for a good scenario, just take your chance and vote. Anyone can vote on scenarios that are upcoming. You can read through the scenarios that were posted in one of the chats, and then you can vote for one of them to be featured in future episodes. So definitely a huge impact from you guys on the series. If you want to see specific scenarios, even if it's not made by you, your only chance to find out what's coming is by joining the Discord. Right, have a great day and see you all later. Later. Out.